I'm almost scared of being too secure, although it does seem nice sometimes. But there are other times where, I think if I really had everything I wanted, I mean, would I be pushing for what I'm doing? I don't know if I would.
As a writer, what steps do you take to develop and build character?
Yeah, in terms of building character, it's really, well, actually, I use a lot of references from people that I've met and know. That's something I learned that Wes Anderson did. And, when I wrote my first screenplay, it was based on a true story, so that was very easy. And then, as I wrote Off Rip, for example, a lot of those characters were based on real people, whether it was a previous relationship, someone's mom that I had met somewhere, different characters. One of my old best friends in high school, a lot of those characters were inspired. So I would start with kind of their archetype, I guess, or how they are as a person, and I would kind of infuse their spirit into the character, and then kind of build out from there and create from there. I think that's kind of the thing when people say write what you know. I mean, if you don't do that, then you really need to build out who these people are just from scratch, which is kind of hard to do straight from imagination. A lot of my main characters, the main characters of my movies are often based on myself, and then I build from there because I just find it's more natural for me to tell a story that way. I don't know. I mean, I have one female-driven story where the main character is a female, and I found that one was harder for me to write because I don't relate as much, and so I think starting with what you know is the biggest thing.
How has being an actor helped you write characters?
Oh wow, acting has helped me so much with writing. I think I learned, well, first of all, when I read screenplays as an actor and I read the dialogue and how things are written, and then I go to say it and I say to myself, oh, this feels clunky. I wouldn't say that. Oh, this feels awkward. Why? That's very on the nose. It just doesn't make sense. Or if it's the opposite of that. Well, whoa, that is so subtle but so profound. It's a great piece of writing. Acting has just tremendously helped me. I think. I just think the whole experience from even going on set and getting to live out the roles, and even if you're writing action, for example, if you're an actor and you go experience an action scene, and for example, I did a short film where I trained and I did Muay Thai and I had a fight scene. I got kicked in the ribs. I got kicked spinning back kick and hit against a Coca-Cola machine that I didn't have a shirt on, and I fell to the ground and it was concrete and this whole thing. So now when I go to write a fight scene, I'm like, okay, let me think of the actors here. What looks good and what is impactful, but what will not kill my talent, especially if I don't have a stunt team. I mean, typically you want stunt actors or on a bigger budget. But yeah, I think it makes you very aware of everything.
And is awkward dialogue necessarily a bad thing? I mean, life is awkward. There's awkward scenarios every day.
Yeah, I think if it's intentional, it's good. But if something, for example, is supposed to be really dramatic or this, typically I think sometimes amateur, younger writers, and even myself, when I want something to be really impactful, I'll really strive to make it impactful, and that's what makes it corny. You almost have to, pull back from that. So I learned that from acting, less is more. There are times where, I just did an audition last night where this character's dialogue was written in all caps. Is this character with bipolar disorder, and he's exclamation points and big capitalization, and one of the takes I did it that way, and then I was like, oh, it just doesn't feel natural. But maybe it's okay that it's not natural because he's bipolar. But at the same time, I think I still need that natural urge to come out and feel that thing. So the take I ended up using was a take where all the stuff that was in caps, I was very much just saying like this. And then there was a moment where that anger or that moment came out of me at a different moment. So I think when writers or actors or any artist, you try to force it to fit a certain moment just because that's when it has to be that, I think that's when it can get dangerous.
What questions should a writer be asking themselves about their characters?
I think a writer should ask themselves everything about their characters, I think if you know your characters as well as you know yourself, if I know I was telling a young guy this who was asking me about screenwriting, who said he wanted to write his first script. And we were sitting in a restaurant right after we wrapped a short film that I had just directed a month ago, 2 months ago maybe. And he was like, I want to write my first screenplay. What do I need to know about writing? And I said, this is what you need to know about writing. He said, what do you mean? I said, this place right here. You know who you are, right? You know where you just came from. You know where you live. You know who your mom is. You know the trauma you have in your life. You know who I am to a certain extent. You don't know me that well, but you see what I look like. You can understand the kind of person I am maybe. You see these different people around you. You need to know all of these different people that are experiencing this, that are in your story, as well as you know yourself and the person you're going back home to go live your life as. You need to know all your characters like that, and then when they all come and converge in this room, you know what they're all going to say because you know all of them.
I like that. How does a writer get to know themselves better?
Experimentation, I think. Just living life, I guess. Reading books, finding out what it is you believe and why you believe it, and being open. You don't. The tough thing with social media and the way things are these days, it's like people can easily get stuck in their own what they call the whole echo chamber thing of everyone, whether it's the left, right, political stuff, religious stuff. People get so stuck in their group. I think it's being open-minded, exploring. Being willing to fail, trying new things, whether it's a hobby, a skill, a career, just pushing yourself to do new things and to not settle into, it's good to have routine, of course, and to have your daily things you do and who you are in your life, but, finding the little sparks of moments to have outside of that, I think.
Do you ever thrive on that where you're like, ooh, wait a minute, I'm kind of uncomfortable here? Actually, this might be good. I might be getting out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, being uncomfortable always pushes me to do more. I'm almost scared of being too secure, although it does seem nice sometimes. But there are other times where, I think if I really had everything I wanted, would I be pushing for what I'm doing? I don't know if I would.
Are there any strategies or techniques that you use as an actor that help you write characters?
Yeah, as an actor, I do a lot of journaling. I like to when I get a role. Typically for auditions, I do a little bit, but when I really dive into a role, it's the same sort of thing of figuring out everything about that character. And I think translating that into, if you as an actor do all that, as a writer, how much more? Because you're creating that person. Of course, there's collaboration, and some people say the script is the skeleton and, the actor brings the life. Yes, that's great, but you need to really give a good foundation, as the writer. So I think I took that from maybe my acting, was just journaling and really finding out who I am as the character.
So you have your own journals as Jadon, and then you have your journals as the character, or you don't journal as Jadon?
No, I do journal as Jadon.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay.
not as much as I used to. There was a point where I would journal every single day, but now I think it's less so. But yes, I do journal as Jadon and then the character.
Right. Have you ever gone back and read some of those journals?
Oh yeah. It's so interesting to see different seasons of life I've been in, what my thought process was, and how maybe scared I was for something in the future, or how heartbroken I was, and then I look back at it and I see the timeline and I'm like, oh, must be what it looks like to see it from God's perspective, because you know what's going to happen. For example, when I read those journals from 4 years ago, well, I know where that character ends up.